Chapter 1. Changes in Families. A nuclear family consists of parents and their child or children. A joint family has parents, grandparents, other relatives, and children. Members of a family live together in a house. Complete the following diagram with the name of your family members. Great-grandfather plus great-grandmother. Grandfather plus grandmother. Uncle plus aunt. Father plus mother. Aunt plus uncle. Shifting from one place to another. Some families stay at one place for years. Some of them even stay in the same house for many generations. But there are some families which have to move at times from one place to another. In this way, structure of many such families keeps on changing with time. The movement of people from one place to another is called migration. People who move from small villages or towns to big cities in search of better education and work are called migrants. The people who move out of their country to live in another country are called emigrants. In the new country, they are called immigrants. Immigrants usually need to adapt to the culture and lifestyle of the country they move to. However, they try to retain and follow their own customs and traditions. There may be many reasons for migration. Let us find out such reasons. Sometimes people move to bigger cities or other countries for higher studies. Some jobs like those in defense or police forces are transferable in nature. People in such jobs are transferred from one city or state to another with their families throughout their working period. Sometimes, due to natural calamities like floods, earthquakes, and famines, people are forced to move away from their homes. People living in villages and small towns move to cities in search of some better job opportunities. They sometimes leave their families behind. They are known as migrant workers. Some poor people in cities live in temporary dwellings called slums. These illegal dwellings are sometimes demolished by the government. However, the government generally provides new homes to those who are displaced. Sometimes families get displaced when the government acquires their land for developmental projects like dams, roads, flyovers, bridges, etc. In most of the cases, the government gives these families another place to live or some compensation money or both. The movement of families can lead to a lot of changes in the family structure and values. Sometimes it causes happiness, especially when the standard of living improves with better education and job opportunities. But in some cases, displacement can bring a lot of misery, hardships, and unhappiness too. Family values. Members of a family, even if living separately, share some common beliefs, values, and traditions. They celebrate their joys together. They stand by each other through thick and thin. Families meet on occasions of celebrations and sorrows. Summer and winter vacations and autumn breaks are the occasions when children visit their extended families. With changing times, many customs and traditions have changed. Earlier, women were seen only in the role of homemakers. Today, they are doing work inside as well as outside their homes. Men also take an active part in various household activities so that women do not have to do all the work at home alone themselves. Children also help their parents with various household works. Some values, however, remain unchanged. the younger members show respect towards the elders. Elders also love and take care of the younger ones. They also teach values, skills, and good manners to the young ones. To teach children about values and morals, sometimes elders have to be firm and strict with them. Changing values. Migration of the people changes the structure, values, and traditions of a family. People who migrate to another country find it difficult to retain their own customs and traditions. For example, the children of Indian families living in the US are not much familiar with the Indian values and customs. Their parents, however, try to teach them Indian cultures and traditions. Chapter 2. Knowing ourselves and others. Our body changes as we grow with age. We do not notice these changes because they are quite slow. Ask your mother to show you some of your old clothes. Compare them with the clothes you wear now. Do you notice any change? As we grow, our likes and dislikes also change. For example, we may start liking some foods which we hated a few years back. Our likes and dislikes. We all have different likes and dislikes. Even the members of the same family have different likes and dislikes. We may consider others' choice as different or strange. But it is important that we respect each other's likes and dislikes. We should not make fun of other people just because they are different. Do you notice any difference between your likes and your friends' likes? Why do we have different likes and dislikes? We all have 5 sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. These sense organs in almost all the people work in similar way, but the brain senses things and works differently in different people. Whenever our sense organs sense something, they send signals to the brain through the nerves. The brain interprets these signals and orders the related body parts to respond accordingly. The brains of different people interpret signals in different ways. Some people see a dog as a friendly animal, while others are afraid of it. Some people like the smell of garlic, onion, or fish, while many others do not like them at all. Factors that affect our likes and dislikes. Our likes and dislikes are affected by various factors, some of which are given below. Our family traditions and culture influence our likes and dislikes and help them develop in many ways. We interact with our family members all the time, therefore their likes and dislikes also affect us. Their habits and opinions have a deep effect on us. Members of a family often tend to take up the same profession or business. Occupations are often passed down from one generation to another generation in a family. However, this is not always the case. Our friends and classmates also influence our likes and dislikes greatly. We tend to choose clothes, listen to music, read books, watch movies, play and see sports that are liked by our peers or friends. Our sense of smell is linked to the foodstuffs we like and those we dislike. We usually like the dishes that smell good to us. We do not like to eat dishes which do not smell good to us. The differently abled. In some people, a sense organ or a body part does not work properly. In such people, rest of the sense organs become stronger and sharper than the normal people. Such people are called differently abled. People who cannot hear or speak use the sign language to communicate. The sign language involves the use of some special expressions and the movement of hands and fingers to communicate with others. Some people may not have an arm or a leg. Such people require special help such as crutches, wheelchairs or ramps for movement. Hearing impaired people use hearing aids to hear clearly. Some people might have more complex physical or mental problems. Yet, they learn to overcome these problems and move ahead in life. Let us learn about some famous differently abled people who overcame their disabilities and made a huge difference to the world. Helen Keller. Helen Keller was born in the US in 1880. When she was just 19 months old, she became seriously ill, which made her deaf and blind for the rest of her life. But she overcame all the challenges in her life to become the first deaf and blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree from Harvard University. Later, she became a famous writer, a social worker, and an orator. At the age of 22, Keller wrote her autobiography, The Story of My Life. Helen Keller is admired and respected all over the world for her perseverance, courage, and strength of mind. The Braille Script. Braille script was developed by a French student named Louis Braille in 1821. It is a useful aid for reading by visually challenged people. In the Braille script, 6 raised dots are arranged in different patterns, each representing a different letter of the alphabet. The visually challenged people feel and understand them by moving their fingers. Nowadays, this script is used in many languages.
Chapter 3. Organ Systems. The human body is made up of millions of tiny microscopic structures called cells. The cells of the similar kind join together to make a tissue. The similar kinds of tissues join together to make an organ. Organs that perform a similar job together form an organ system. The human body has many organ systems working together. Let us learn about them. The skeleton system. The skeleton system is made up of bones. Bones are hard and give a proper shape and support to our body. We are able to stand straight, sit, walk and run with the help of our bones. Bones also protect delicate internal organs such as the brain, heart, lungs, and kidneys from physical damage. At the time of birth, a child has over 300 bones. There are about 206 bones in an adult human body. The largest bone in our body is the thigh bone or femur. The muscular system. The muscular system is made up of muscles. Muscles are soft and flexible. Most of the muscles are attached with the bones with strong fibers called tendons. Muscles along with the bones help us move various parts of our body. Even the slightest movement in our body is carried out by muscles. There are about 650 muscles in our body. We have 50 muscles in our face alone, out of which we use 17 muscles to smile and around 43 muscles to frown. When a muscle attached to a bone contracts, it pulls the bone and makes it move. Muscles generally work in pairs. If a muscle attached to a bone contracts to pull it up, its partner contracts to pull it back down. Also, when one muscle contracts, its partner relaxes. The digestive system. The digestive system consists of the mouth, food pipe, stomach, liver, pancreas, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. The digestion of food begins in the mouth. Here, food is chewed by teeth and mixed with saliva. It then goes to the stomach via the food pipe. In the stomach, the food gets mixed up with the digestive juices. Digestive juices are produced by the walls of the stomach. The food now changes into a paste form. From the stomach, the food goes into small intestine. The juices help the small intestine further digest the food. The liver and the pancreas also help in digestion. The digested food is absorbed in the small intestine, and the undigested food that is not absorbed then reaches the large intestine. This undigested food passes out of the large intestine as fecal matter and is thrown out of the body through the anus. The respiratory system. The respiratory system consists of the nose, windpipe, and lungs. When we inhale air through the nose, it goes down our windpipe and finally to our lungs. The lungs are like two big sponges that hold air. The inner surface of the lungs has many thin tubes called blood vessels. The oxygen that reaches the lungs goes into these blood vessels. It is then carried to every part through the pumping of blood by heart. Our body uses oxygen to burn the food and release energy. At the same time, carbon dioxide from the blood enters the lungs and is finally expelled when we exhale. The circulatory system. The circulatory system consists of the heart, blood, and blood vessels. The heart lies slightly to the left under the chest. With every beat, it pumps blood. This blood is carried by blood vessels to all the parts of our body. Blood vessels also bring blood from different parts of the body to the heart. Blood vessels are very thin tubes. The circulatory system regulates the blood flow and the body temperature. The heart of a normal person beats 72 times per minute. The nervous system. The nervous system consists of the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. The brain controls all the functions and systems of our body. That is why it is sometimes called the master organ of the body. The nerves are like thin wires that start from the brain and reach every part of the body. The spinal cord connects all parts of the body to the brain with hundreds of nerves. It is protected by the backbone. The nerves carry messages from the sense organs to the brain. The brain then sends out message via these nerves to the parts of action and we react instantly. The excretory system. The excretory system is made up of the kidneys, lungs, urinary bladder, and skin. Our body has two kidneys at the lower part of the abdomen. Kidneys are bean-shaped organs. They filter our blood and make urine. The urine is stored in the urinary bladder and we pass it out. You already know how the lungs expel carbon dioxide from the body. Our skin has many tiny pores through which sweat comes out of the body. Sweat is also a waste matter. Feces are excreted from the body through the anus. Chapter 4. Food and Health. We all need food to stay alive and remain fit and healthy. Food gives us energy to do different kinds of work. It helps our body grow well. It also helps in healing our body's wear and tear and protect us from many diseases. Whenever we smell delicious food, our nose picks up the smell and sends it to the brain. The brain sends signal to our mouth to salivate. Food contains different kinds of useful substances that our body needs. These substances are called nutrients. The main nutrients in the food are proteins, carbohydrates, fats, minerals, and vitamins. Let us learn how these nutrients work in our body to keep us fit and healthy. Proteins. Proteins are needed to build new cells. They also repair the damaged cells of the body after an injury or sickness. Thus, proteins are body-building nutrients. Children need to consume a lot of proteins because they are in the growing stage of their life. The main sources of proteins are eggs, fish, meat, pulses, milk, and cheese. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are our body's main source of energy. They are called energy-giving nutrients. They burn inside the body to keep us warm. People who do a lot of physical work need more carbohydrates in their diet. The simplest carbohydrates are starch, sugar, and glucose. The main source of carbohydrate-rich foods are bread, rice, wheat, potatoes, fruits, and sweets. Fats. Fats also give energy to our body. In fact, fats give more energy than carbohydrates. 1 gram of fat gives us 9 calories of energy, whereas 1 gram of carbohydrate provide only 4 calories of energy. But consuming too much of fat is not good for health. It causes obesity. Obesity increases the risk of heart disease and other health problems. The main source of fats are butter, ghee, cream, cheese, nuts and oils. Vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals help in keeping us fit and healthy. They are called protective foods. Our body needs only a small quantity of vitamins and minerals, but a diet without them may cause many diseases. Minerals make our teeth and bones strong. Calcium, phosphorus, iron and iodine are also some important minerals. Vitamins and minerals are found in green vegetables, fresh fruits, and milk. Besides these nutrients, roughage and water are also needed by our body. Roughage is the fiber found in cereals, vegetables, and fruits. Roughage keeps the bowel movement proper and therefore prevents constipation. Water helps in proper digestion of food. It also helps in removing waste from our body in the form of urine and sweat. We should drink about 8 glasses of water every day. A balanced diet. What will happen if we continue to eat only one kind of food daily? It will cause deficiency of other nutrients in the body. Our body will not work properly and we may develop certain infections or diseases. So, it is essential to take all the nutrients in food to keep the body healthy. The diet that contains all the nutrients, water, and roughage in the right amount is called a balanced diet. A balanced diet keeps us fit and healthy. Food safety. We ought to take proper care of food that we eat. Here are a few measures which may be useful in keeping food safe and healthy to consume. Wash and clean vegetables and fruits thoroughly to remove dirt, dust, and chemicals. Always cook food in a clean vessel or utensil. Food should neither be undercooked or be overcooked. Undercooked food may contain harmful germs and is difficult to digest. Overcooked food loses most of the vitamins and minerals. Keep food in a cool and dry place. Food kept in a cool place stays fresh for a longer time. Fruits and vegetables can be kept in a fridge to keep them fresh for a long time. Vegetables, fruits, meat and fish can also be preserved by drying and salting. Some fruits and vegetables can be preserved by pickling them. The pickle is normally stored in a dry jar with an airtight covered lid. Always use a dry spoon to take out pickle from the jar. Pickle gets spoiled if a wet hand or a wet spoon is used. Dry food items like cereals and pulses also get spoiled if they are not stored properly. They must be stored in dry and airtight containers. Insects and rats cause huge damage to food grains. They also act carriers of diseases. Therefore, food grains should be stored in proper containers. Food items exposed to dust and flies also cause diseases. Diseases such as diarrhea, typhoid, and cholera are often caused due to consumption of exposed food. Therefore, food should always be kept away from flies, germs, and dust. Deficiency diseases. The diseases caused due to lack of certain nutrients in the body are called deficiency diseases. Let us learn about some deficiency diseases. Deficiency of proteins. Deficiency of proteins and carbohydrates in food causes marasmus and kwashiorkor in children in the age group of 1 to 3 years. The main symptoms of these diseases are as follow: thin arms and legs and pot belly, loss of appetite and diarrhea, dull and tired look, stunted mental and physical growth. The children suffering from any of these diseases can be cured by giving them foods that are rich in proteins and carbohydrates. Deficiency of vitamins. Deficiency of vitamins in diet causes many diseases. Deficiency of vitamin A causes night blindness. A person suffering from this disease cannot see in dim light or in dark. If not cured properly, night blindness may cause permanent blindness. A person suffering from night blindness can be cured by giving him or her vitamin A-rich foods such as carrot, pumpkin, papaya, tomato, mango, guava and yellow part of an egg. Some other vitamin deficiency diseases are given in the table below. Vitamin B, beriberi, weakness, cracks at the corners of mouth, dry and scaly skin, loss of appetite and pain in limbs. Sources of vitamin are sprouted grains, milk, eggs, fish, pulses, milk products and green leafy vegetables. Vitamin C, scurvy, bleeding gums, loose teeth, red spots on skin and weakness. Sources of vitamin are amla, lemon, orange, strawberries, sprouted gram, coriander, potato, tomato and guava. Vitamin D, rickets, bow-shaped legs, bulging of backbone and delayed growth. Sources of vitamin are butter, ghee, eggs, spinach and sunlight. Deficiency of minerals. Deficiency of minerals in diet causes many diseases. Deficiency of iron causes anemia. In an anemic person, the red blood cells or the RBCs count is low. The person looks pale and has a poor appetite. Apples, bananas, guavas, spinach, meat and liver are good sources of iron. Jaggery is also a rich source of iron. Deficiency of iodine causes goiter. A person suffering from this disease has a large swollen thyroid gland in the neck. This disease can be prevented by consuming iodized salt and seafood. Deficiency of calcium causes weakening of bones and teeth. It can be prevented by drinking milk and consuming milk products. Overeating also causes many diseases. For example, obesity is caused due to overeating of oily food, fast food, and lack of physical activity and exercise.
Chapter 5. Growing Food. Apart from air and water, food is the third essential thing required by all the living beings. Food helps the organisms grow. It gives them the energy to perform various activities. We get food from both plants and animals. Green plants are called the producers because they can produce their own food. They provide food to all the other living beings. The demand for food has increased with rapid increase in population. In order to provide food to such a large population, both regular production and proper storage of food are required. Farming in India. India is called an agricultural country. Around 70% of the population of India lives in villages. Agriculture is their main occupation. Subsistence farming. Small farmers barely manage to raise enough food to meet the needs of their family members. This type of farming that meets basic survival needs of people is called subsistence farming. A few farmers own land. Most of the farmers work on the lands of other big farmers on daily wages, or they are given pieces of land on rent or lease. If a farmer is unable to pay the rent, he has to give some part of the crop grown by him to the landlord. Commercial farming. Some farmers own large farmlands. They grow large quantities of food, crops, which they sell in the market. This type of farming, in which food is grown in surplus to sell in the market for profit, is called commercial farming. Mixed farming. Some farmers have very large fields that can be used to grow crops as well as rear animals like goats and cows. This is called mixed farming. Crop production. When plants of the same kind are grown and cultivated at one place on a large scale, it is called a crop. For example, a crop of rice or paddy means
that all the plants grown in the field are of rice. The climatic conditions in India vary from one place to another. Hence, a variety of crops are grown in different parts of the country. Types of crops. Different types of crops are grown in different seasons. According to seasons, there are three major types of crops grown in India: Kharif crops, Rabi crops, and Zaid crops. Kharif crops. The crops which are grown in the rainy season from June to September are called Kharif crops. For example, paddy, rice, groundnut, cotton, maize, soybean, etc. Rabi crops. The crops grown in the winter season from October to March are called Rabi crops. For example, wheat, pea, mustard, gram, linseed, etc. Zaid crops. The crops that are grown for a short period of time are called Zaid crops. They are grown between the harvest of the Rabi crops and the sowing of the Kharif crops. For example, seasonal fruits and vegetables like watermelon, muskmelon, cucumber, bitter gourd, pumpkin, etc. Stages of crop production. The cultivation of crops involves a series of activities. These activities are known as agricultural practices. The various agricultural practices are: preparation of soil. The soil is first loosened using plows or tractors. The process of loosening or turning the soil is called tilling or plowing. It has the following advantages. It allows deep penetration of the roots. It helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes. Nutrient-rich soil comes up to the top, which benefits the growth of plants. Sowing of seeds. Good quality, healthy seeds are selected to sow in fields. Seeds are sown at a distance to prevent their overcrowding. Nowadays, farmers use high-yielding variety HYV of seeds developed by scientists. These are disease-resistant. These seeds yield good crops, however they require more water. Adding manure and fertilizers. Manure and fertilizers are added to the soil to prevent nutrients for the healthy growth of plants. They are added because growing crops continuously makes the soil nutrient deficient. Lack of sufficient nutrients in the soil results in the low yield of crops. Manure and fertilizers replenish the soil with nutrients. Irrigation. Water is important for the growth of crops. Germination of seeds does not take place in dry conditions, and the distribution of rainfall is different at different places. Thus, for production of good quality crops, fields are watered regularly. The extra supply of water to the crops by artificial means at regular intervals is called irrigation. The sources of irrigation are wells, tube wells, ponds, rivers, lakes, dams, and canals. There are various methods of irrigation like drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, etc. Harvesting. Harvesting is the process of cutting and gathering crops after they have matured. The crops are pulled out or cut close to the ground. It is done either manually using sickles or by using machines. Threshing and winnowing. The process of loosening the edible part of the crops from the scaly, unedible chaff that surrounds the seeds is called threshing. It can be done manually or by using machines. In winnowing, the threshed crops are tossed in the air to separate the lighter particles of chaff, dirt, and even pests from them. It is done using a winnowing fan. Storage. The produce needs to be kept safe from moisture, insects, and rats so that it remains fit for consumption. Some steps for proper storage of crops are: the grains are dried in the sun to reduce moisture in them. Farmers store grains in jute bags or in metallic bins. The large-scale storage of grains is done in silos and granaries to protect them from pests like rats and insects.
Chapter 6. Games we play. People like to relax after spending long hours at work. Games and other physical activities refresh our mind and body. Sometimes we play for enjoyment and sometimes for competition. Some of the advantages of playing games are given below. They keep our muscles and bones strong. They encourage us to follow rules and regulations. They develop confidence in us. They keep us away from unhealthy practices and habits. They help us handle failures and differences better. We can group games into two types: indoor games and outdoor games. Indoor games. Games like Ludo, chess, carom, snakes and ladders, table tennis, boxing, billiards, etc. are examples of indoor games. These games are played inside a court, hall, home, or an indoor stadium. Which indoor game do you like to watch or play? Outdoor games. Games like cricket, hockey, football, golf, etc. are played outside our homes. These games are played in open grounds, courts, or stadiums. They are called outdoor games. Which outdoor games do you like to watch or play? On the basis of number of players, games can be divided into two types: individual and team games. Individual games. A game which is played by a single player in his or her own capacity is called an individual game. Gymnastics, swimming, racing, skating, cycling, archery, golf, etc. are some individual games. With the help of a teacher or coach, players of individual games get proper training. With hard work, focus and practice, we can do well in these games. We can take part in inter-school and intra-school competitions of individual games. Participating and winning in these games bring laurels to our school and make our parents proud. Can you name some other individual games? Team games. The games that are played in groups are called team games. Such games are played between two teams competing against each other. Cricket, hockey, basketball, football, volleyball, and rugby are examples of team games. Some games like badminton and tennis are played both as individual games and team games. In team games, the number of players in each team varies from game to game. Every team has a captain or leader. All the team members support and follow the decisions and guidance of the captain or the team leader. The captain motivates and encourages the players of the team to achieve a common goal. In team games, the most important element is team spirit. Team spirit means to strive for attaining a common goal by working together. In a team, a player should not play just for individual glory, but for the team as a whole. Team games usually have umpires or referees to decide the outcome and solve disputes between the teams. Every player is bound to accept the decision of the umpire or referee. National teams. A national team consists of players from different parts of the country. They might have different culture, languages, or religions, but when they play for the country, they assume only one identity. When our national teams in cricket, hockey, or any other sport win in international tournaments, the whole country celebrates their victory like a national festival. Thus, games unite the people of a country through the outstanding performances of national teams. In recent years, India has shown great progress in many sporting events at international level. Many of the Indian players have made a name for themselves and made the country proud. Hockey is the national game of our country. Though hockey is not as popular as cricket, it is still played with a lot of enthusiasm by a large number of players. In hockey, India has won many medals in the Olympics, Asian Games, and many other international tournaments. Some famous hockey players who have made India proud include Major Dhyan Chand, Roop Singh, Balbir Singh, Ashok Kumar, Dhanraj Pillai, etc. equal opportunities for girls and boys. Boys and girls often play team games like Kho-Kho and Kabaddi. For professional sports like cricket, football, hockey and volleyball, boys and girls play in separate teams. However, they may play in mixed teams in some parts like tennis and badminton. Many Indian women in recent years have excelled in different sports in international competitions. Hima Das, sprinter. PV Sindhu, badminton. MC Mary Kom, boxing. Traditional games. Traditional games are those which have been played in a region since ages. These games do not require any expensive equipment or specialized uniforms, but these games are very good for recreation and fitness of the body. Most of the traditional games have undergone a lot of changes. They have taken new forms. Many of them are no longer popular. However, a few traditional games have still survived and are played in different parts of the country. Let us learn about some of them. Kho-Kho. Kho-Kho is one of the most popular traditional games in India. Like all the Indian traditional games, it is simple, inexpensive, and enjoyable. This game is more popular among girls. In Kho-Kho, each team consists of 12 players, but only 9 players take the field for a contest. A Kho-Kho match has 2 innings. An innings has turns of chasing and running of 7 minutes each. Members of the chasing team have to chase and touch the members of the running team with their palms and utter the word Kho loudly. Kabaddi. Kabaddi is another popular traditional game of India. It is the state game of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. It is also the national game of Bangladesh, where it is known as Hadudu. Kabaddi requires a lot of stamina and skill. It is known as Hututu in Maharashtra, Chadakudu in South India, and Dodo in Nepal. Wrestling. Wrestling is popularly known as Kushti in India, and wrestlers are known as Pehlwans. They are trained in akhadas. Wrestlers have a strict diet which is mostly vegetarian. They obey all the instructions of their guru. Chandgi Ram and Dara Singh were famous Indian wrestlers. Archery or Tirandazi has been in practice for self-defense and hunting since ancient times. It is practiced using a bow and an arrow. Archery requires immense concentration, fitness, and discipline. Thoda is a traditional form of archery in Himachal Pradesh. In this sport, a small piece of wood is attached to the end of an arrow so that it becomes blunt. Limba Ram was an expert archer of India. He had represented India in 3 Olympic Games. Mallakhambh. Mallakhambh is a kind of Indian gymnastics usually performed on a wooden pole. The players perform various complex exercises which require them to turn, twist, stretch and balance their body on the pole. The grace, agility, dexterity and suppleness of body combined with quick reflexes, muscle coordination and sense of timing of the performer make this game challenging and worth watching. Martial arts. The term martial arts means arts concerned with war. The practice of martial arts helps in improving one's physical and mental strength and focus. Fighting skills in martial arts have developed over the centuries in many countries. Most of them are connected with culture and are used for self-defense. Many are practiced as a way of life to develop a disciplined mind and a healthy body. Martial arts have developed chiefly as sports. All the masters and the students of martial arts have to make promise not to use their fighting skills to attack defenseless people. Judo, karate, jujutsu, and kung fu are some of the famous martial arts practiced all over the world. Some of the popular martial art forms of India are as follow. Gatka. Gatka originated in the Punjab region and is practiced mostly by the Sikhs. It is a style of fighting and demonstrating acrobatic moves. A practitioner of Gatka is called a Gatkabad. It is often performed during special occasions, fairs, and Sikh festivals. This art has been revived in modern times through its management and promotion by Gatka Federation of India. Chibi Gadka. Chibi Gadka is one of the most ancient martial arts of Manipur. The contestants fight a duel within a circle, each carrying a sword made up of a stick encased in soft leather and a shield made of leather. The person who scores the maximum points wins the game. Kalaripayattu. Kalaripayattu is the traditional martial art form of Kerala. It is practiced by both men and women. It includes demonstration of physical exercises and mock duels, both with and without harmless weapons. Today, Kalaripayattu is practiced as a means of physical fitness, entertainment sport, and an empty-handed means of self-defense. Silambam. Silambam is a martial art form of Tamil Nadu. It involves the use of a long staff for self-defense or mock fighting. Two persons fight within a circle of about 20 to 25 meter radius drawn on an even and hard surface. The winner is decided on the basis of the number of touches made by him or her to the opponent with the tip of the staff. Kick fighting. Kick fighting is a popular sport of Nagaland. In this sport, the contestants stand apart on their marks and kick each other with their legs. They are not allowed to use their hands to hit or catch each other. Chapter 7. Breathing and Exercise. Breathing. Breathing is one of the most important life process in all the living beings. Breathing is the mechanism that helps our body absorb oxygen and remove harmful carbon dioxide from it. Breathing involves two processes, inhaling and exhaling. When we inhale, we breathe in air that is called inhaled air. When we exhale, we breathe out air that is called exhaled air. Inhaled air is different from exhaled air in many ways. Inhaled air, it is rich in oxygen, it is less moist, it is cooler. Exhaled air is rich in carbon dioxide, it is more moist because it has more water vapor, it is warmer. The following organs are involved in breathing. Nose. The nose has two nostrils. When we breathe, air enters the nostrils. The hair inside the nostrils trap the dust and other particles, thus preventing them from entering the lungs. Windpipe and trachea. These help carry air into the lungs through a pair of thin tubes called bronchi. Bronchi. These are two thin tubes that help air reach the two lungs. Lungs. These are a pair of sponge and bar-like organs where exchange of gases takes place. Oxygen gets absorbed and carbon dioxide is given out. Our lungs expand when we breathe in and contract when we breathe out. The breathing system. Chest expands, ribs, diaphragm. Diaphragm contracts, chest contracts, lungs, diaphragm relaxes. Our diaphragm contracts when we breathe in and expands when we breathe out. After the lungs absorb oxygen, it gets transported to different parts of the body through blood. Blood rich in carbon dioxide is brought to the lungs, which is then exhaled out of the nostrils. The diaphragm plays an important role in the breathing process. It is a muscle under the lungs that controls breathing. When we breathe in, the diaphragm contracts, thus pulling air inside the lungs. Then, the diaphragm expands and pushes the air out of the lungs and we breathe out. Breathing is a part of the respiration process. Respiration is the process by which the body uses oxygen absorbed during breathing to break down food into energy. Blow hot, blow cold. We use our breath to warm our hands in winter, while sometimes we use it to cool a hot bowl of soup. How can our breath be both hot and cold at the same time? In winter, when our breath is warmer than the air outside, we can use it to warm our hands. However, our breath is cooler than the hot soup in the bowl. That is why it helps cool down the soup. We also blow on sparks in firewood to help it burn. This is because our breath has oxygen, which helps to ignite fire. Sometimes people blow some air onto their spectacles to clean them. Do you know why? Our breath contains moisture. When we blow air onto a cool surface, like a spectacle lens or a car window, this moisture changes into tiny droplets of water due to condensation. Condensed moisture helps in cleaning the glass. Exercise. Our heart beats faster after we run or perform some physical exercise. Why is this so? This is because we breathe in oxygen to help us digest our food and convert it into energy. When we run or exercise, we use energy faster. Therefore, our heart needs to beat faster and we take deeper breaths so that our body can get more oxygen. In fact, there is no part of human body that does not benefit from exercise. Regular exercise helps keep our lungs and heart healthy. Exercise strengthens muscles and builds strong bones. Exercise keeps our weight under control and also fights diseases like diabetes. Exercise helps in proper blood circulation inside the body and also helps the body to get enough oxygen. We should try to do exercise in fresh air. Chapter 8. Dignity of Labor. None of us can do all the work alone by ourselves. There are many people who help us in our daily work. They provide essential services to us. Sweepers, cobblers, carpenters, masons, security guards, rickshaw pullers, etc. help us lead a comfortable life through their work. They might not have very high educational qualifications, but they are skilled and experienced in their job. We must respect every work and the person who does it, whether it seems big or small. This is called the dignity of labor. What will happen if no one takes up the job of keeping the roads clean or disposing of garbage properly? There would be mounds of rubbish and filth all around us. Sweepers keep the streets and roads clean. To do the cleaning, they have to deal with dirt and filth. But they themselves are in no way dirty or unclean. In fact, they deserve more respect because they keep our surroundings clean. In the past, our society was divided according to the caste system. Some castes were considered higher than the others. People of low castes were assigned menial work. They were also referred to as untouchables. They were not allowed to mix up with the people of higher castes and were barred from using common facilities like wells and going to temples. Mahatma Gandhi fought against the system of untouchability. He called all such untouchables as Harijans, which means sons of God. He dignified their work by supporting them and even cleaning up the toilets. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, one of the framers of the Indian Constitution, was also born in an untouchable family. He fought for dignity and fair treatment of depressed classes, or the untouchables. Measures undertaken by the government. After independence, the government has undertaken many measures to provide people of depressed classes with good education and other opportunities. Laws have been made to protect their fundamental rights. Anybody who treats them with disrespect is punished. Practicing untouchability in any form or at any level is now a punishable offense. We must understand that every job has its own dignity and therefore should be respected. Work of any helper should not be looked down upon because there is a need of everyone working together to make life easy and comfortable. Chapter 9. Reproduction in Plants. All the living beings depend on plants for food, directly or indirectly. Not only food, we get many other useful things from plants. The most important of all is that they give us oxygen, a gas that is vital for all the living beings to live. Thus, plants act as the earth's lungs. Since plants are living things, they grow, live for a definite period of time, and finally die. In order to continue their race, plants also need to reproduce. The process through which a living being gives birth to its young ones is called reproduction. Plants reproduce from spores, seeds, or any other body parts. Reproduction from spores. Some plants like ferns, mushrooms, and mosses do not have flowers or fruits. So, they do not produce seeds. Instead, they have spores, which are tiny seed-like structures usually present on the undersurface of the leaves. The spores fall to the ground and grow into little discs. These discs later grow into new plants. Plants that do not produce flowers are called non-flowering plants. Reproduction from seeds. Most of the plants produce flowers. Flowers develop into fruits which contain seeds inside them. Each seed grows into a new plant if it gets sufficient air, water, and sunlight. A flowering or fruit-bearing plant produces many seeds. It is because every seed does not get a chance to grow into a new plant. Some die due to unfavorable conditions like excess water, extreme cold, or hot conditions. Some are eaten by humans, animals, birds, and insects, and some do not grow well. Inside a seed. A seed has three main parts: seed coat, seed leaves, and embryo or baby plant. The outer covering of a seed is called seed coat. It protects the seed. The seed leaves or cotyledons supply food to the baby plant. The embryo or baby plant grows into a new plant. Some seeds like gram, bean, pea, and other pulses have two seed leaves. Other seeds like wheat, maize, and rice have only one seed leaf. Germination of a seed. The process of growing a baby plant from a seed is called germination. A seed germinates only when it gets the right conditions, otherwise it remains inactive. When the seed gets the right amount of air, water, and warmth, it starts germinating. Air supplies itself to the seed for breathing of baby plant. Water softens its seed's coat and also changes food in the seed's leaves or cotyledons into a soluble form for the use of the baby plant. Warmth from sunlight makes the baby plant's leaf to begin photosynthesis. The first part that appears from the seed is root, which soon bears root hair. The next is shoot, which grows up towards the light. It becomes green and starts to make food on its own. It also develops into a sapling. The young plant is now called seedling. In a few days, it grows into a new plant. The mature plant produces flowers. The flowers develop into fruits, which have seeds. The seeds that get the right conditions grow into new plants. Thus, the cycle repeats itself. Reproduction from body parts of parent plant. Besides growing from seeds, some plants also grow from other parts such as roots, stems, and leaves of the parent plant. The growing of new plants from any part of the parent plant other than seed is called vegetative propagation. Let us learn about some plants that reproduce through vegetative propagation. Roots. Plants such as sweet potato, beetroot, carrot and dahlia grow from the swollen roots of the parent plants. The root of sweet potato is called a tuber. It grows into a new plant. Stems. In potato and ginger, new plants can grow from the underground stems of the parent plants. The stem of potato is called a tuber and that of ginger is called a rhizome. Tuber and rhizome are underground stems. They have tiny buds or eyes on them. Any part of a potato with eyes can grow into a new plant. The stems of onion and chrysanthemum are called bulbs. They are also underground stems. When planted in soil, these bulbs grow into new plants. Plants like strawberry, grass and mint grow out from side shoots or stems called runners. Whenever a runner comes in contact with the soil, it produces its own roots and grows into a new plant. Leaves. Some plants such as bryophyllum and Mexican hat reproduce through their leaves. The leaves of these plants have many small buds all along their edges. When these buds fall onto the ground, they take roots and grow into new plants independent. Dispersal of seeds. You know that plants remain fixed and cannot move from one place to another? If all the seeds of a burst out fruit scatter near the parent plant, they would not be able to survive. They would not get enough light, food, water and space to grow. Overcrowding or seedlings would cause their death. Seeds produced by the parent plant must spread across far and wide for them to grow well into new plants. The process of spreading seeds across wide areas is called dispersal of seeds. In most of the cases, nature has arranged certain helpers for the dispersal of seeds. These helpers are wind, water, and animals. They are also known as the agents of dispersal. Some seeds also get dispersed through the explosion of their fruit on their own. Wind. Seeds of cotton, madar, and orchid are very light. They also have hair to float in air, so they are easily carried by wind to distant places. Seeds of hiptage, maple, and sycamore have wings which helps them to float. Water. The lotus fruit has a spongy part and the coconut has a fibrous outer covering with hollow inside. These structures help them float on water. Water carries them a long distance away from the parent plants. Animals. Animals and human beings eat many fruits and throw their seeds here and there. Some seeds have special structures like hooks, thorns, and spines. They get stuck to the hair of animals and feathers of birds and are carried away to distant places. Birds swallow some seeds which come out in their droppings at some other places. Explosion. Some fruits like pea, lady's finger, balsam, and pencil curl up and burst open or explode when ripe. The force of explosion throws their seeds away from the parent plant. These seeds grow into new plants under favorable conditions. Plants from different countries. Many popular plants that we see in India have their own origin in other countries. Some of them are given in the table alongside. Some of the spices like cloves and pepper have originated in Indonesia. Potato, Peru, wheat, Syria and Turkey, coffee, Ethiopia, onion, Egypt, banana, East Asia, mango, East Asia, watermelon, South Africa. Tea. Tea is a very popular beverage of India. However, the tea plant is not native of India. It originated in China. It was introduced in India by the British. Tea requires hot and humid climate for its proper growth. Long hours of sunshine and adequate rainfall are also necessary for the tea plant to grow well. In India, tea is cultivated in the northeast, mostly in Darjeeling
and Assam. It is also grown along the slope of the Nilgiri in South India and the Kangra Hills in Himachal Pradesh.
Chapter 10. Food for Plants and Animals. Animals and plants are living beings. They need food to carry out various activities. But plants differ from animals in one very important way. They can make food on their own while animals cannot. Animals depend on plants for their food directly or indirectly. Food for plants. Plants make food through green leaves. All the green leaves contain a pigment called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is necessary for making food. Leaves need sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to make food. Leaves absorb sunlight through chlorophyll. Plants get water and minerals through the stem that is carried up by the roots from the soil. Leaves also take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through tiny pores called stomata on their surface. The food-making process in the leaves is called photosynthesis. Due to important role played by leaves in the photosynthesis, they are also called food factory of the plant. During this process, plant give out oxygen, the gas that all the living things need to breathe in. In this manner, the process of photosynthesis takes place. Carbon dioxide plus water, sunlight, chlorophyll, sugar plus water vapor plus oxygen. Leaves make food in the form of sugar or starch. The prepared food is carried to the stem and other parts through the veins. The extra food is stored in different parts of a plant, such as roots, stems, buds, flowers, seeds, and fruits. We eat these sorted parts as our food. Plants cannot make their food in the absence of sunlight, so they do not make food at night. In fact, they breathe out carbon dioxide at night. So it is advised not to sleep under a tree at night. Why do plants need food? Plants need food to grow themselves and to produce young plants to continue their generation. They also need food to get energy to do many activities and to repair their damaged parts. We eat these foods: potato, carrot, cabbage. Obtaining food by some unusual plants. There are some plants that do not have leaves and some are not green at all. Have you ever thought how they make or consume their food? Let us learn about some such unusual plants. Some plants like Japanese maple and crotons have red leaves. They too have chlorophyll, but the red color hides the green chlorophyll present beneath. So, these plants make food in the red leaves by the usual process of photosynthesis. Plants like cacti have spines instead of leaves. They have thick green stems that contain chlorophyll. So, photosynthesis takes place in their stems. Plants like mushrooms and molds do not have chlorophyll. So, they cannot make their own food. They grow on dead and decaying plants and animals and get their food from them. Insectivorous plants. You all know that many animals eat flesh of other organisms. Do you know that some plants also eat other organisms? Isn't it strange? It is true. Plants that eat other small organisms are called insectivorous or carnivorous plants. They have special structures developed for trapping small organisms. Let us see how they trap their victims. Pitcher plant. The pitcher plant has pitcher-like leaves that hang on long tendrils. The pitchers have a slippery rim and sweet-smelling nectar inside. When an insect sits on the pitcher to get nectar, it slips and falls into the pool of nectar below. It is gradually dissolved and digested. Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap has jaw-like leaf traps swollen with nectar. Once an insect lands on the leaf, the jaws clamp shut on it in a fraction of a second. At once, the leaf secretes juices that drone the insect to be digested later. Sundew. The sundew has deadly sticky tentacles. The tentacles have drops of a sticky, shiny liquid on their tips. When an insect lands on the tentacles, it gets stuck to them. Soon the tentacles tighten their grip to suffocate it and secrete a digestive juice that dissolves the insect. Food for animals. Animals cannot make their own food. They depend on plants or other animals for their food. On the basis of food habits, animals can be divided into three main groups: herbivorous, carnivorous, and omnivorous. Herbivorous. Animals that eat plants or parts of plants are called herbivorous. Cows, goats, horses, zebras, buffaloes, and elephants are some examples of herbivorous. Carnivorous. Animals that eat flesh of other animals are called carnivorous or flesh-eating animals. Lions, tigers, crocodiles, leopards, wolves, and foxes are carnivorous. Omnivorous. Animals that eat both plants and flesh of other animals are called omnivorous. Bears, cats, jackals, crows, and hens are some examples of omnivorous. A bear loves to eat plants, honey as well as fish. A dog eats bread as well as bones. Human beings are also omnivorous as they eat both vegetarian as well as non-vegetarian food. Apart from these animals, there is another group of animals, scavengers, feed on dead animals and thus they help in keeping the surroundings clean. Vultures, hyenas, and wild dogs are some examples of scavengers. They are also called the sweepers of the jungle. Food chain. Food chain is a pathway that shows how energy passes from one living being to another. Look at the picture given below. Grass, grasshopper, frog, snake. This is the food chain. Here the grasshopper eats grass, the frog eats the grasshopper, and the snake eats the frog. So, food from the grass first goes to the grasshopper, then to the frog, and finally to the snake. It is like a chain in which every organism serves as food for the next organism. So, it is called the food chain. Chapter 11. Water in our life. The surface of the earth consists of land and water. More than 70% of the earth's surface is covered with water. However, only 3% is fresh water, which can be used by us. Most of the fresh water is frozen in the form of snow or as glaciers. Thus, very little fresh water is actually available for use. That is why water is considered to be precious. Water is used for drinking, cooking, bathing, cleaning and washing clothes, utensils, etc. Farmers use water to grow crops. Most of the cities, therefore, had developed on the banks of rivers in ancient times. Countries which have many rivers usually develop water transport. This helps in travel as well as trade. Industries also need water and develop close to source of water. Sources of water. Rain is the main source of water on the earth. Other sources of water include rivers, lakes, ponds, streams, and wells. Seas and oceans are large water bodies. Water of seas and oceans is salty and cannot be used for drinking and other domestic purposes. Rainwater is the purest form of water. Some water flows on the surface while the rest seeps underground. Water reaches our homes through underground pipes and taps. Water in cities reaches homes from its various sources through a network of pipes. However, in earlier times, water had to be fetched from the source such as rivers, ponds, or wells. People used to walk for miles to fill up their pots and reach their homes. In many villages and urban slums, people still have to fetch water from wells or hand pumps. They have to stand in long queues and await their turn to fill their containers with water. Underground water. The underground reserve of water is called the water table. This water remains stored underground and can be obtained by digging wells, using hand pumps or electric pumps. Wells are of many kinds. Open wells are usually found in villages where people use a pulley system to take out water. A pulley is a simple machine with a wheel which is used to run a rope, a cable or a chain. We use the rope to pull water up in a bucket. Some wells are constructed with steps which go down to the level of the water. They are called step walls or bowlies. Some of the larger bowlies also have separate bathing-swimming areas. Bowlies have been in use for many centuries, used by travelers as well as local people for daily needs. Electric pumps are also used to draw water and store it in large tanks. From there, water is sent to every home through a network of pipes. Houses also have water tanks for storing water. Pipes from the tanks supply water to the taps in the houses. Water for irrigation. In early times in India, farmers irrigated their fields by taking water from wells. Some farmers manually took out water from wells in buckets and then poured this water into channels dug for distribution of water in the fields. This is called a dhekli. Most farmers depend on direct rainfall for irrigation. Water wheels are also used to draw water from a source of irrigation. Some water wheels have pedals attached to the rim. They turn the wheel as the water flows into them. Others have buckets attached to the wheel. As each bucket fills with water and becomes heavy, it moves upwards. This pulls the wheel around. Such water wells are called rehats. Earlier water wheels were connected to millstone, which would grind corn or wheat into flour. These machines were called water mills. In places where there is low rainfall, rainwater is stored by rainwater harvesting. During the rainy season, water is collected and stored in reservoirs to be used later for irrigation and other purposes. In sprinkler irrigation, pipes are used to transport water from the source to all parts of the fields. Sprinkler heads are placed at equal distance. The water is sprayed onto the crops. Drip irrigation is a method used in areas with less rainfall. Pipes are spread across the fields and holes are made in these pipes. Through these holes, water is supplied to the root of each plant. This reduces wastage of water. Properties of water. A liquid has no fixed shape of its own. It takes the shape of the container in which it is kept. Water is a colorless liquid. If you pour water into pots and pans of different shapes and sizes, you will see that water can easily flow and take the shape of the container. But there is no change in the volume of water when it is poured into different containers. What floats, sinks, or mixes? What happens when a soap falls in a bucket full of water? The soap sinks, but a plastic mug floats on the surface of water. Floating or sinking in water depends on an object's density. Density refers to how heavy an object is for its size. For example, a stone will be heavier than a paper ball of the same size. This is because the stone's density is greater than that of paper. The particles in a stone are packed more tightly, making it a denser material. The density of water is 1 kg per liter. This means that a volume of 1 liter of water weighs 1 kilogram. Objects which are denser than water will sink in the water, while those which are less dense than water will float in it. For instance, the density of cotton and paper is less than 1 kilogram per liter. Hence, they will float in water. However, when they absorb water, they will get heavier and start sinking. Water, the universal solvent. Add 1 spoon of sugar to a glass of water. What happens to the sugar? If you stir the water slowly,
you will see how the sugar dissolves into it completely. Temperature also plays a role in dissolving things. Hot water dissolves substances faster than cold water. When a substance dissolves in a liquid, it forms a solution. Substances which dissolve in water are said to be soluble in water. The substance, like sugar, which is dissolved in is called the solute. The liquid like water in which the substance dissolves is called the solvent. Many substances dissolve completely in water. This is why water is known as the universal solvent. Chapter 12. Life in Water. Many varieties of plants and animals live in water bodies such as ponds, lakes, rivers, seas, and oceans. There are more plants and animals in water than on land. Aqua means water. Therefore, plants that live in water are called aquatic plants, and animals that live in water are called aquatic animals. Aquatic plants. Aquatic plants are mainly of three types: floating plants, fixed plants, and underwater plants. Floating plants. Floating plants have roots that are not attached to the bottom of water body. They have spongy stems or air-filled parts that help them float freely on water surface. Such plants are found in ponds and lakes where water remains stagnant. These plants protect small water animals from the hot sun. Duckweed, water lettuce, and water hyacinth are some examples of floating plants. Fixed plants. Fixed plants have their roots attached to the bottom of the water body. These plants have long, hollow stems and broad leaves. The hollow and light stems keep the leaves and flowers afloat. The leaves and stems of such plants are coated with wax to make them waterproof. Lotus and water lily are examples of fixed plants. Underwater plants. Some plants remain under the water all through their life. They are called underwater plants. These plants have long, thin and narrow leaves to offer little resistance to flowing water. They have no stomata on their leaves. The exchange of gases takes place through the general surface of the leaves. They have long and flexible stems and their roots are fixed to the bottom. Hydrilla, Vallisneria and tape grass are some examples of underwater plants. Besides these aquatic plants, some plants grow near water bodies. Mangrove and papyrus are examples of such plants. Mangrove grows in marshy areas where soil is sticky and does not have enough air. These plants therefore have breathing roots called pneumatophores. These roots grow out of the soil to get air directly from the atmosphere. Papyrus is a tall grass-like plant that grows near rivers. Its stems were used by the ancient Egyptians to make paper. In fact, the word paper comes from papyrus. Aquatic animals. A large variety of animals live in water. They include fish, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. Small animals such as insects, crabs, lobsters, and prawns also live in water. Some aquatic animals live in shallow water, while others live in deep water. All the aquatic animals have some special features that help them survive in water. Let's learn about some aquatic animals. Animals in shallow water. Animals such as crabs, lobsters, and eels usually live in shallow water. Crabs and lobsters fall into the family of crustaceans. They have their own shell, 10 legs, and 2 antennae on their heads. Eels are long, slimy fish that look like snakes. They hunt fish, squid, and cuttlefish for food. Seal and walrus spend most part of their life on the shore. They have shiny skin and strong flippers that help them swim in water. When seals come to the shore to breed, they live for weeks in vast colonies called rookeries. Amphibians such as frogs, toads, newts, and salamanders live both on land and in water. When they are on land, they breathe through their lungs. In water, they breathe through their moist skin. Crocodiles usually live in the shallow water. They normally hunt for food in water. They often come to the shore and bask in the sun. Birds such as kingfisher, ducks, swans, flamingos, pelicans, and gulls live near water. They catch fish, insects, frogs, and worms for food. Animals in the ocean. Oceans are the largest animal habitat. Many kinds of fishes, mammals, reptiles, and insects live in the oceans. Whales, dolphins, and sea lions are the mammals that live in the oceans. Salmon, sharks, and rays are some examples of marine fish living in oceans. Aquatic animals that have spinal cords or backbones are known as vertebrates, and those that do not have a backbone are known as invertebrates. Some common aquatic vertebrates are fish, whales, dolphins, turtles, seahorses, seals, walruses, and lampreys. Some common invertebrates are jellyfish, sandworms, clams, cuttlefish, and crayfish. Special features in aquatic animals. Let us learn about some special features found in aquatic animals. Fish have fins and a streamlined body for swimming in water. They have two paired fins that are used to move forward. They have one unpaired fin for maintaining balance. They use tail fin to change the direction of movement. Turtles have paddle-like limbs to push water back and move forward. Penguins use their two forelimbs as flippers to push water while swimming. However, on land, they use their hind limbs to walk. Frogs and ducks have webbed feet to swim. On land, frogs use their long and bent hind legs to jump. Water animals such as fish, crabs, prawns, and oysters breathe through gills. Gills are richly supplied with blood vessels. When water flows through the gills, an exchange of gases takes place. The gills absorb oxygen from the water and release carbon dioxide into it. Water insects such as water stick insects and diving beetles come out to the surface of water to breathe. The mosquito larva living in water breathes through a long tube called siphon. Mosquito and malaria. Many species of mosquitoes are found everywhere. The body of a mosquito is divided into three parts: head, thorax, and abdomen. The mouth of a mosquito has a long needle-like structure called proboscis. The female mosquito uses her proboscis to suck blood from the human body in order to give nourishment to its eggs. A mosquito has a pair of eyes on its head. It has a pair of wings on the thorax and 3 pairs of legs. Symptoms of malaria. High fever along with shivers is the main symptom of malaria, which is repeated every 48 to 72 hours. The person may also complain of nausea and headache. The high fever is followed by heavy sweating and a fall in body temperature. Several attacks of malaria often affect the proper functioning of the liver and the spleen. Prevention of mosquito-borne diseases. We can check the spread of mosquito-borne diseases in the following ways. Do not let water stagnate in and around your house. Empty the water coolers when you do not need them. If that is not possible, pour some kerosene oil into its tank. Use a mosquito net or mosquito repellent at night. Wear clothes that properly cover arms and legs. Chapter 13. Animals and their senses. Our sense organs receive information from the surroundings and send it to the brain. The brain processes it and directs the body to respond accordingly. Similarly, animals too have sense organs that help them see, touch, smell and feel the world around them. Sense of vision. Most of the hunting birds like eagles, kites and hawks have very sharp eyesight. Their eyes are proportionately bigger and their eyesight is about 3 times better than that of humans. Eagles can spot their prey from as far as 5 kilometers away. They can dive at 160 kilometers per hour. Sharp eyesight and diving ability of hunting birds help them catch their prey. Animals that are active at nights also have very sharp eyesight. Cats, tigers and leopards can see very well in the dark. Owls have large forward-looking eyes. Their eyes allow them to see and hunt in almost complete darkness. Insects such as dragonflies and houseflies have compound eyes. The compound eye consists of thousands of lenses. The images captured by these lenses are put together collectively in the insect's brain to give it a complete picture. Sense of hearing. Do you or someone you know has a pet dog at home? You may have noticed that pet dogs bark when people unknown to them step into the house. Dogs have a very powerful sense of hearing. They can hear even the faintest of sound that we fail to hear. Bats also possess an extraordinary power of hearing. Like owl, they are nocturnal animals. They listen to the echo produced by their own loud cries. They use this echo to locate their prey and prevent collision with any obstacle. Big cats such as lions and tigers and other carnivores also have a strong sense of hearing. Elephant too can hear even very faint sounds that we cannot hear. Many but not all insects can hear sounds. They have hearing organs on different parts of the body. Crickets have these organs on their front legs. Tiny hair on the legs of spiders, grasshoppers, and cockroaches act as their ears. Sense of smell. Both land and water animals have a very good sense of smell. Most land animals smell through their nose. Dogs have a very strong sense of smell. Trained sniffer dogs are used by the police for tracing bombs, criminals, and disaster survivors. Though rats have poor eyesight, they have sharp sense of smell. Sharks have a better sense of smell than any other type of fish. They can detect 1 part of an animal's blood in 100 million parts of water. Birds such as kiwi, albatross, and vultures also have very powerful sense of smell. Condors, the biggest flying bird, can smell a corpse under a thick forest canopy from great heights. Snakes and lizards flick their tongue constantly and send scent particles to the sense organs located at the roof of their mouth. Sense of taste. Bees, butterflies, and houseflies have taste receptors on their feet. Before laying eggs on a plant, a butterfly walks on some of the leaves to make sure they are edible for her young ones. In earthworms, the entire body is covered with taste receptors, thereby ensuring their young ones of ready availability of food immediately at the time of their birth. Mammals detect taste through taste buds present on their tongues. A cow has about 25,000 taste buds. A rabbit has about 7,000 and a human being has about 10,000 taste buds. Aquatic animals such as fish also have good sense of taste. In fish, taste buds are present on their lips, tongue, and all over their mouth. Some fish such as goatfish or catfish have barbels or whiskers which act as taste organs. A catfish may have as many as 250,000 taste buds. The forked tongue of snakes and lizards is used by them to taste their surrounding air and detect any prey. Sense of touch. Animals sense things around them on touching with different parts of their body. All the types of cats, mice, wolves, etc. have whiskers that act as very sensitive feelers. These special hairs stick out from their cheeks and chin and from above their eyes. These animals tend to be most active at night. Whiskers help them feel their way around in the dark. Fish have a lateral line system consisting of sense organs along the head and trunk. These receptors detect changes in water pressure and thus help in their movement and locating prey. Butterflies have tiny hair on their wings to detect changes in air pressure. How animals communicate. Animals do not use any language to communicate with one another as humans do. But many animals do communicate using their characteristic sounds. For example, dogs can whine, bark, growl, snarl, and howl. These sounds may express fear, danger, hunger, or any other feeling. Baboons communicate with each other by making a number of calls that mean different things. For example, they raise an alarm with a dog-like bark. Zebras communicate with each other with varied calls and facial expressions. Some zebras make different sounds with different meanings, including an alarm call and a sequel expressing pain or fear. Some birds, such as parrots, can even copy human voice. Owls communicate mainly by snapping their bill, clapping their wings in flight, or making sound from their mouth and throat. Each kind of owl make its own set of special sounds. Honeybees have a unique way of communication. Worker bees perform a waggle dance to guide other worker bees towards a source of nectar. Odor cues also transmit important information to members of the honeybee colony. Pheromones are chemicals released by insects into the environment to communicate with other individuals of the same species. An intruder may suffer painful stings if a honeybee colony is disturbed. When a worker honeybee stings, it produces a pheromone chemical that alerts other workers of the group. Pheromones also provide trails to food sources. Animals sleep. Human babies need as much sleep as adult tigers, that is about 16 hours, while the sleepy brown bat sleeps for 20 hours a day. Animals sleep in various ways. Horses sleep standing upright, while bats sleep hanging upside down. Leopards sleep on branches of trees. Fish and fruit flies simply reduce movement to get some rest. Migratory birds are truly daring as they sleep while still flying at night. Care for animals. Wild animals are often hunted for their skin, fur, tusks, horns, and bones. Some people also killed wild animals for sport or fun. To keep the balance in nature, we should discourage hunting and killing of wild animals. We should not destroy natural habitat of animals by cutting down forest or polluting it. Forests are destroyed for developing land for human use and for commercial activities such as mining. Water bodies are being polluted by releasing toxic substances into them and by oil spilling. We must do everything possible to save the natural habitats of wildlife. At the same time, we should take care of the domestic animals around us. Here are some tips to take care of them. We should be kind to animals because they are also living beings like us. We should love and take care of them. We should not tease or disturb them. We should provide them with good food, clean water, and safe shelter. We should take a sick animal to a veterinary doctor for treatment. Chapter 14. Shelter for Everyone. We live in a house with our family. A house protects us from heat, cold, rain, insects, and thieves. We keep our valuables safely in our house. Besides, We feel safe and comfortable in our house. We can see different kinds of houses when we visit different places. They differ in shapes, sizes, material, and designs. Variations in the types and designs of houses can be due to many factors. Let us study some of these factors. Climatic conditions and landforms. The climatic conditions and landforms play a major role in having different houses in a region. In hilly areas, heavy rain and snowfall take place. So, people living there make their houses with sloping roofs. This prevents rainwater and snow from accumulating on the roof. They slide off easily from the roof. In the Arctic region, the ground is covered with ice and snow throughout the year. The natives of this place, called Inuits, cut blocks of snow and make dome-shaped small houses using them. These are called igloos. The snow wall inside igloos acts as an insulator and prevents the icy winds from entering the igloo. It also prevents the warmth inside the igloo from escaping. Even when the outside temperature is far below 0 degrees Celsius, the temperature inside the igloo is warm and cozy. The earthquake-prone countries like Japan and Indonesia, people generally build houses of wood and bamboo. Light material used in their construction do not cause much injury or damage when they collapse during an earthquake. Houses in flood-prone areas are made on a raised platform supported by wooden pillars called stilts. These houses have ladders going up to the entrance. The ladder is removed at night to protect the entry of wild animals. These type of houses are also built near the seashores. In Kashmir or Kerala, many people make houses on boats, called houseboats. Houseboats are the most preferred accommodation for the tourists visiting here. Available materials. Availability of building materials also plays an important role in determining the shape, size, and design of houses. In villages, people living in villages build houses with materials that are easily available in the area. Thus, where clay and bricks kilns are found in plenty, we find houses made of bricks. Where wood, bamboo, and grass are available in abundance, people make huts with thatched roofs. Houses made in villages with mud, bamboo, and clay are called kacha houses. These houses have thatched roofs made of wood, bamboo, and straw. The walls of these houses are plastered with mud. These houses are not very strong and need frequent repair from time to time. In cities and towns. In cities and towns, building materials like bricks, tiles, cement, iron, marble, glass, etc. are easily available. So people there make variety of houses using such materials. These houses are called pakka houses. These structures are strong, all-weathered and long-lasting. Finding a suitable and spacious shelter is a major problem in big cities. The shortage of space has led to the construction of very tall buildings. These are called multi-story buildings or skyscrapers. They have many floors and each building has a large number of houses called flats. In cities, due to easy availability of all kinds of raw materials and resources, houses of different designs are made. From simple residential colonies to flats and to big bungalows are often built in a number of fashionable styles. They reflect the architectural skill and fineness in their construction. These pakka houses are strong and permanent and do not need frequent renovation and repair. Economic status. The type of a house also depends on the economic conditions of its intended occupier. A poor person with small means will build a small house and use cheaper material. On the other hand, a rich person can build a big modern house using highly expensive materials like sandstone, teak wood, marble tiles, etc., according to the amount of money spent, houses can be of the following types. Low-cost houses. A large number of people in rural areas are poor and cannot afford to build high-cost houses. They look for materials which are cheaper, easily available, and are within the limits of their budget. That is why they make kacha houses for themselves. Many poor people migrate to cities. There too, they cannot afford proper shelters. They use cheap materials like plastic, tin sheets, plywood, and cardboard to build makeshift houses. Such areas in cities are called slums. High-cost houses. Bungalows, multi-story buildings, and other large pakka houses seen in cities and towns are built at a high cost. Materials used in building these houses are expensive and fashionable too. The roofs are generally made of concrete. The walls are made of bricks and plastered with a mixture of cement and sand. Expensive tiles and wallpaper or even glasses are used on these walls to make them look beautiful and attractive. The floors are made of expensive marble, wood, or porcelain tiles. Wood, metal, and glass are used in making doors and windows in these houses. Living together. We, human beings, live together in a society. That is why we are also called social animals. Just like human beings, most of the animals also live in groups. Fish live in shoals, birds fly in flocks, and elephants live in herds. Carnivorous animals like lions and tigers hunt in groups. In most of the animals, the purpose of living together is generally due to two reasons: protection from enemies and reproduction. At the sight of an enemy, the alert animals in a group alert others by making noises. They either run away or ward off the enemy by staying together. The young ones are also taken care of by other members of the group. Thus, staying in a group ensures survival of all such animals. Social insects. Some insects like ants and bees live in large groups. They have a well-developed society or colony where each member does a particular job. These colonies last for many generations. The behavior of ants and bees reflects the social nature of these insects. That is why they are also called social insects. Ants. Ants live and work together in large groups. Ant colonies are called ant hills. They are usually built underground. An ant hill consists of many chambers that are well connected to each other and to the surface with the help of well-ventilated tunnels. Ants are divided into groups according to the task they perform. The queen lays eggs which are looked after by the worker ants. The worker ants are also responsible for building the colony, finding food, looking after the young ones, and keeping unwanted visitors away. Ants communicate effectively with the members of their colony using chemicals called pheromones. They also use their antennae for communication. Bees. Honeybees live in groups called beehives, which are made of wax. The number of bees in each beehive may range from 50,000 to 80,000. The hive is divided into thousands of hexagonal, six-sided cells arranged in rows. These cells are used to store food, wax, eggs for hatching, etc. Bees are also divided to perform different tasks. Each colony has a queen bee that is the largest bee and lays eggs. Worker bees keep the hive clean, build the wax combs, look after the young ones, and gather nectar and pollen from flowers. They keep the air in the hive cool by constantly flapping their wings. Drones or male bees help in reproduction. Bees also communicate through pheromones, which they pass among themselves through touch. Chapter 15. Emergency Situations. A situation that poses a great threat to our life and property is called an emergency situation. Natural disasters and accidents create a situation of emergency. An act of forces of nature that results in widespread loss to life and property is called a natural disaster. Natural disasters are also called natural calamities. They are a result of sudden and unexpected changes in nature. Human beings cannot predict them and they have no control over them. Let us learn about some major natural disasters and some measures to be taken during such disasters. Earthquakes. An earthquake is a sudden shaking or trembling of the Earth's surface. It is caused due to the collision of the tectonic plates under the Earth's surface. The exact point under the ground where this collision takes place is called the focus. The point on the Earth's surface which lies directly above the focus is called the epicenter. The effect and damage caused by an earthquake is maximum near its epicenter. The intensity of an earthquake is recorded by an instrument called seismograph. The magnitude of an earthquake is measured on a Richter scale. The number range for this scale is from 1 to 10. The earthquakes below 6 on Richter scale are moderate and cause little damage, whereas earthquakes above 6 on Richter scale are considered to be disastrous and cause great damage to life and property. On January 26, 2001, a massive earthquake shook the Kutch region in Gujarat, causing great destruction. Thousands of people lost their lives, houses collapsed, and people lost all their belongings. Electricity, water, and telephone connections snapped. Roads and railway lines collapsed. One more such high-intensity earthquake shook Jammu and Kashmir and Pakistan in October 2005. These too caused a great destruction to life and property. Precautions. In case of an earthquake, the following precautions should be taken. Rush out of your house or school to an open ground or area. If you cannot move out, take shelter under a table, keeping hands on the head. Do not stand near windows, bookcases, mirrors, hanging pots, fans, etc. during or immediately after an earthquake. If you are outdoors, keep away from trees, signboards, electric poles and buildings. Tsunamis. Tsunami means tidal waves. They are caused due to an underwater earthquake or a volcanic eruption. A series of huge waves come from the sea, rolling towards the shore. At times, these waves can be up to 25 meters high and can travel at a speed of 800 kilometers per hour. At very high speed, waves crush and damage everything they come across. About 90% of all the tsunamis occur in the Pacific Ocean. One such tsunami occurred in the Indian Ocean in December 2004, in which lakhs of people lost their lives in around 12 countries. Nowadays, tsunamis can be predicted with the use of advanced technology. Precautions. The following precautions should be taken at the time of tsunami. Just before a tsunami strikes, the sea often recedes from the coast. If you see that happening, run away from the coast to save a place. If you live in a coastal area and feel a strong earthquake, move quickly to a higher place. Cyclones. A cyclone is a very strong whirlwind which travels at a great speed. It is caused due to variation in the atmospheric pressure between land and sea. Cyclones are accompanied by heavy rains. They are very common in the coastal regions and frequently occur in Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. Cyclones are known by different names such as sea storms, typhoons, hurricanes and willy-willy. and willy-willies in different regions. Precautions. The following precautions should be taken at the time of a cyclone. Listen regularly to the weather bulletins on radio or television. Always keep a first aid kit ready. Head towards the nearest cyclone relief shelter. Floods. Floods generally occur due to heavy rainfall during the monsoon season. When there is heavy rain, the rivers rise above their banks and the overflowing water enters houses, fields and other areas. Floods damage crops, roads and houses. They affect transport, communication, water supply and electricity systems. They create unhygienic conditions that lead to outbreak of diseases such as cholera, malaria, jaundice and dengue. Floods are very common in Assam, Bihar, Odisha, West Bengal, eastern Uttar Pradesh and coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh. Precautions. To control floods, we should take the following measures. Grow more trees as they slow down the speed of running water. Construct high embankments along the rivers to prevent flood water from entering into nearby residential areas and fields. Before the flood hits your area, make arrangements for food, shelter, clothes and medicines to be used in need. Drought. A drought is a long dry period with little or no rainfall. If there is no rain, there is not enough water for crops and other living beings. Lakes, ponds, wells and other water bodies dry up. The groundwater table dips sharply. Farmers do not find enough water for irrigating their crops. The crops die and there is scarcity of food. This results in prices of food items going up. Many people, livestock and other animals also die. In severe cases, it can result in widespread famine and epidemics. During a famine, there is an acute shortage of food for human beings and animals. Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, Rajasthan, Gujarat and Chhattisgarh are drought-prone states of India. Precautions. Incidence of droughts can be reduced significantly if we take the following measures. We should grow more trees. They increase the moisture in the air, which helps in bringing seasonal rain. Rainwater harvesting should be practiced during monsoon season. Water harvesting increases the level of underground water. We should build water reservoirs. Their stored water can be used in the time of droughts. Relief work. We can also do our bit to help those affected by a natural calamity in the following way. Collect clothes, medicines, blankets, bed sheets, food items and money and send them to the affected areas. Help people take cover during earthquakes and move them to the rooftops during floods. Spray insecticides or kerosene oil in the house and on stagnant water to prevent breeding of mosquitoes and ensure that there is enough clean drinking water. Help people get the necessary medical help so that diseases do not spread and infect the people. During natural disasters, many institutions and voluntary organizations help the affected people. They are as follow. The doctors treat the victims and save as many people as possible. The policemen help maintain law and order. National Disaster Response Force, NDRF, provides rescue operation in all types of natural and man-made disasters in India and abroad on the command of the government. The firemen put out fires in the houses and buildings and help in rescue operations. The Indian Air Force and Indian Navy help the victims by providing food, medicines, and other essential items. They also carry out rescue operations. Media such as radio, television, telephones, and newspapers provide latest news and carry messages about the victims to their relatives and friends. International relief organizations. Many national and international organizations also help the disaster-affected people throughout the world. Red Cross Society. It provides medical relief and help in rehabilitating the victims. It also provides many voluntary doctors and nurses to look after the sick people. They maintain hygienic conditions in the affected area and set up relief camps to prevent outbreaks of diseases. WHO, World Health Organization. The WHO is an organization of the United Nations. It also provides medical and other relief measures to the affected people. UNICEF, United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. It provides money, clothes, food and other necessities to the affected and displaced children. Chapter 16. First Aid in Emergencies. If we hurt ourselves or others by chance, we call it an accident. Accidents can occur at any place and at any time. They may result in injury and may even cause damage to life and property. We can prevent these accidents to a great extent if we are alert and follow basic safety rules. In spite of all the precautions, accidents still take place. In such emergencies, victims need special care immediately. The medical help given to a victim before the arrival of a doctor is called first aid. A timely first aid can save a life. Let us learn about some of the first aid methods employed in different cases of injuries. Cuts and wounds. You must use blade, scissors and knife with great care. If you get a cut on any of your body parts, do the following. Wash the cut with clean running water, apply an antiseptic cream and put a thick pad of cotton and gauze over the cut. If the cut is deep, press the cut with thoroughly washed fingers or thumb to stop bleeding. You can also use a tight band called tourniquet to stop bleeding. In case the bleeding does not stop, take the victim to the doctor immediately. Burns. Fire is very useful to us, but sometimes handling it carelessly can cause burns. A burn needs special and immediate attention. Do the following in case of accidental burns. Put ice cube on the burned area. Make the victim lie down and give him or her plenty of liquid to drink. Cover the burn with a clean cloth after washing it with cold water. Take the victim to a nearby doctor immediately. If the victim's clothes catch fire, wrap him or her tightly in a blanket. This will extinguish fire at once. In case of a major fire, call fire brigade on 101. Fractures. A break or crack in a bone is called a fracture. A fractured bone needs proper bandage and special care to prevent further injuries. Do the following in case of a fracture. Do not allow the victim to move. In case of an arm bone fracture, use a sling to give it a firm support. In case of a leg bone fracture, tie a splint tightly to give support to the broken bone. The splint should be long enough to extend well below and above the fracture. Take the victim to a doctor immediately. Animal bites. The bites of some animals like dogs, cats and monkeys can be very serious. They may cause a deadly disease called rabies. In case of an animal bite or sting, do the following. Wash the wound thoroughly with clean running water to remove the germs. Apply an antiseptic cream or lotion to prevent infection. Tie a bandage over the wound and take the victim to a doctor immediately. Some snakes are poisonous. Snake bite can be very dangerous. When a snake bites, it injects its poison or venom into the victim's blood. The poison in blood quickly goes to the heart and brain. It may stop the working of the heart and brain and the victim may ultimately die. In case of a snake bite, do the following. Put a mark over the bite and tie a bandage tightly above the cut to stop the poison blood to reach the heart and brain.
Wash the wound with potassium permanganate. Keep the person calm and at rest, asking him or her to remain as still as possible to avoid venom from spreading quickly to other body parts. Take the victim to a doctor immediately for further treatment. Droning. Swimming, boating and water sports may sometimes result in droning. To treat a droned person, do the following. Make the victim lie on his or her stomach on the ground. Press his or her back and stomach to remove excess water through mouth. Try to give him or her artificial respiration. Take the victim to a doctor for further treatment. Poisoning. Children may sometimes swallow hazardous things such as paint, detergent, medicine, naphthalene balls, etc. In such a case, do the following. Give the victim some milk and water and induce vomiting. Take the victim immediately to a doctor. Electric shock. An electric shock can be very dangerous. In case of an electric shock, do the following. Turn off the main switch or MCB. Never touch the victim before turning off the main switch. Ask the victim to lie down calmly to relieve shock. Call for a doctor immediately. Nose bleeding. In case of nose bleeding, pinch the soft part of nose and hold it for a few minutes till the bleeding stops. Make the victim lean forward and breathe through mouth. Put a cold and wet towel on the face and at the back of the neck. How to make a first aid box? We all should keep first aid box at home. It should contain the following items. Antiseptic lotion like Savlon or Dettol, antiseptic tape, cotton pads, crepe bandage, sterilized gauze, methyl spirit, band-aids, scissors, balms, etc. Chapter 17. Fuels for Vehicles. Any substance that is burned to produce energy is called a fuel. The process by which this fuel is converted into energy is called combustion. All the vehicles need energy from fuels to move. All of them, however, do not use the same fuel. Fuels can be divided into two groups, fossil fuels and alternate fuels. Fossil fuels. Fossil fuels have been formed from the remains of plants and animals that got buried inside the layers of earth millions of years ago. Coal, petroleum, and natural gas are the main fossil fuels found on earth. These fuels are available in a limited quantity. Once they are exhausted, they take a very long time to form. So, these are exhaustible resources. They are also called non-renewable sources of energy. Coal. Coal was formed by decompositions of plants that lived millions of years ago. When they died, they got covered under the earth's soil and rocks. Other plants grew over them. Later on, they were also buried in the swamps. The earth's heat and pressure and absence of oxygen slowly changed the remains of plants into coal. Coal is obtained by digging a hole in the earth. This hole is called mine, and the process of making the hole and taking out minerals like coal is called mining. Coal is used as a fuel for cooking food in industries that make steel, in steam-powered railway engines, and in thermal power stations to generate electricity. When coal is burned in insufficient air, it gives coke, coal gas, and coal tar. Coke and coal gas are used as fuels. Coal tar is used for making roads, soaps, plastics, dyes, and medicines. Petroleum. Petroleum was formed from the decomposition of remains of sea animals that died millions of years ago. When these animals died, their bodies settled at the seabed and they got buried under the mud and sand. The earth's heat and pressure converted them into crude oil or petroleum. Petroleum is obtained by drilling deep wells called oil wells several meters down the earth's surface. The crude oil that we get from these wells is thick, sticky and black. Crude oil is sent to oil refineries where it is refined to get petrol, diesel, kerosene, paraffin wax and cooking gas. Petrol and diesel are used as fuel in vehicles like cars, scooters, buses, aeroplanes, etc. Petrol is also used for dry cleaning clothes. Paraffin wax is used for making candles and shoe polish. Kerosene is used as a fuel. Petroleum is often called the liquid gold because of the following reasons. It is used as a fuel for motor cars, scooters, aeroplanes and other vehicles. It is used for dry cleaning of clothes. It is used for making lubricant oil, printing ink and medicinal oil. A variety of products are manufactured in factories using the products of petroleum. Natural gas. Natural gas is found trapped along with petroleum. It is used in LPG, liquefied petroleum gas cylinders for cooking and for driving vehicles as CNG, compressed natural gas. CNG is clean, pollution-free fuel. Most of the buses, auto rickshaws and private vehicles in Delhi and Mumbai run on CNG. Alternate fuels. Substances other than fossil fuels that can be used as fuels are called alternate fuels. Liquefied hydrogen, biofuels like alcohol and biodiesel, and electricity are some alternate sources of fuels for vehicles. Liquefied hydrogen is used as a fuel in spacecraft. Alcohol fuel obtained by fermenting sugarcane juice is used to run cars in Brazil. Biodiesel is made from vegetable oil and animal fat. It is used to run vehicles and to generate electricity in many European countries. Trains, metro trains, trams, cable cars and vehicles that run on rechargeable batteries run on electricity. Fuels and pollution. Every day millions and millions of vehicles run on roads across the world. As a result, the fuels burned in them cause more and more air pollution. This makes the air we breathe in polluted, leading to numerous health problems. Not only in vehicles, fuels burned in factories and industries and even in our homes also lead to air pollution. The governments in various countries across the world are taking steps to check this ever-increasing problem of pollution. In many cities, during winter, smoke and fog combine to form smog, which makes visibility as well as breathing difficult. Conservation of fuels. The reserves of coal and petroleum are depleting fast. Once they are burned, they are finished forever. Scientists say that coal and petroleum reserves will last for another 100 years or so. It is therefore necessary for us to use them carefully. Here are some steps that can be helpful in conserving fuels. Travel short distances on foot or by bicycle. Use public transport or carpool as much as possible. Vehicles that run on solar energy and electricity should be developed. Use pressure cooker and solar cooker for cooking food. Chapter 18. Forests in our life. A large area of land covered with naturally growing plants and trees is known as forest. Forests are useful to us in many ways. They provide us hardwood and softwood for making furniture, wood, pulp, paper, and plywood. They provide many medicinal plants and herbs. They provide various products like gum, rubber, resin, latex, cork, and camphor. They provide shelter and food to animals, insects, and birds. They make the air clean and produce more oxygen. They help control floods and soil erosion. They attract rainfall and keep the surroundings cool. Forests in India. The forests in India can be divided into 5 major groups: evergreen forests, deciduous forests, thorn forests, coniferous or Himalayan forests, and tidal or mangrove forests. Evergreen forests. Evergreen forests are also called tropical rainforests. They remain green throughout the year. The trees in these forests are very tall with lots of leaves. All the trees do not shed their leaves at the same time. In India, evergreen forests are found in the regions which receive heavy rainfall throughout the year. These forests are found in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Trees commonly growing in these forests are rosewood, teak, ebony, mahogany and bamboo. Deciduous forests. The term deciduous means falling off at maturity or tending to fall off. In these forests, trees shed their leaves annually. These forests are also known as monsoon forests. More than half of India's forests are deciduous forests. These forests are found in Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Trees commonly growing in these forests are sandalwood, sal and shisham. Thorn forests. The trees in thorn forest are scattered, short and thorny. They have long roots to draw water from depth beneath. These forests are also known as desert forests. The thorn forests are found in areas that receive very less rainfall. These forests are common in Rajasthan and parts of Gujarat and Punjab. Cactus, babool, kikar and prickly pear are some common trees and shrubs growing in these forests. Coniferous or Himalayan forests. Coniferous forests have tall, cone-shaped trees which have needle-like leaves. These leaves survive in high altitudes where climate remains cold. The needle-like leaves of these trees help the snow slide off during winter. The coniferous forests are found in the higher slopes of the Himalayas and in the Nilgiri hills in the south. The trees commonly growing in these forests are pine, deodar, birch and fir. Tidal forests. Tidal forests are also called mangroves. The trees of these forests have breathing roots because these trees grow in sticky soil that provides insufficient air. Tidal forests are found in deltas of the Ganga, the Mahanadi and the Godavari. The important trees in these forests are Sundari and Nipa. The delta of Sundarbans in West Bengal gets its name from Sundari trees. Forests and tribal people. Tribal people or tribes generally live inside or on the outskirts of forest. They survive on forest products. They are often led by a chief. In India, tribes are known as Adivasis, Gonds, Bhils, Santhals, Mundas, Jarvas, Kols, Bodos, Garos, Khasis and Lepchas are some of the Adivasis groups living in different parts of India. They get food, fuel wood, medicines and timber from the forests. They make baskets, ropes, leaf plates, bags, mats, etc. from forest products and sell them in markets. Forests are an important part of their social, religious and cultural life. Every tribal group worships some special trees and animals which are considered sacred. They do not allow cutting down trees, killing of animals and collecting fruits and nuts from the sacred plants and trees. The sacred protected area in the forest is called the sacred grove. The tribal people call the sacred areas Divovans or Divorais. There are more than 13,000 sacred groves in different parts of India. Conservation of forests. For a healthy environment, a country must have at least 1/3 of its area under forests. Unfortunately, India has only 1/5 of its total area under forest. Due to rapid population growth, many forests have been cleared for agriculture, mining, industries and housing. Our government conducts various programs to increase our forest wealth. 2 such programs are Van Mahotsav and Social Forestry. In Van Mahotsav, school children and other organizations take active part in planting saplings of trees.
It is organized at the beginning of the rainy season. In social forestry, villagers and tribal people are encouraged to grow trees on wastelands. Successful efforts have been made to increase the forest covering by planting more trees. Wildlife. Wildlife includes wild animals, birds and insects that live in forests. India has a rich variety of wildlife. But due to destruction of forests, many wild animals have become extinct and many more are in endangered category. Our government has set up many national parks and wildlife sanctuaries to protect wild animals. Look at the list of some of the famous national parks in India given alongside. National Park and their state. Carbohydrate National Park, Uttarakhand. Dachigam National Park, Jammu and Kashmir. Dudhwa National Park, Uttar Pradesh. Kyoladio Ghana National Park, Rajasthan. Gir National Park, Gujarat. Hazaribagh National Park, Jharkhand. Kanha National Park, Madhya Pradesh. Kaziranga National Park, Assam. Manas National Park, Assam. Periyar National Park, Kerala. Lungs of metropolitan cities. The Maidan area located in the heart of Kolkata serves as its green lungs. The Sanjay Gandhi National Park serves as the lungs of Mumbai. The Delhi Ridge is considered the lungs of national capital. Chennai has the Guindy National Park as its lungs. Chapter 19. Spirit of Adventure. Many people are fond of adventurous activities. They like to explore rough mountains, distant lands, deep seas and oceans, vast deserts or limitless space. These people love to face hardships and challenges as they are born with the spirit of adventure. Adventure sports and activities have become very popular these days. Let us learn about some popular adventurous activities. Paragliding. In paragliding, a wide canopy resembling a parachute is attached to the sportsperson's body by a harness. By jumping from or being lifted to a height, it allows the person to glide through the air. This requires a lot of training, but paragliders enjoy the thrill of gliding and fascinating scenes of the ground seen from the mid-air. Trekking. Trekking involves walking through deep jungles, snow-covered tracks or mountainous roads on foot. It is often done in groups with the purpose of exploring and enjoying the scenery. Trekkers wear special trekking shoes and clothes. They carry tents to sleep at night. Whitewater rafting. Whitewater rafting is riding in inflatable rafts through rough rivers or other water bodies. The rafters often encounter dangers in the form of strong waves, protruding rocks, and water currents. Rafters wear special protective jackets and helmets and undergo some training in advance. Dealing with risks and need for teamwork is part of whitewater rafting experience. Scuba diving. Scuba diving involves diving into the sea or ocean to explore fascinating world of aquatic plants, animals, and natural structures underwater. It requires special suit, breathing apparatus, and a lot of training. Besides these adventurous activities, two more activities need special mention. These are mountaineering and space traveling. Mountaineering. Mountaineering or mountain climbing is a very popular form of adventure. Those who climb mountains for adventure are called mountaineers. There are many high mountain ranges in India. The 8,848 meter high Mount Everest in the Himalayan mountains in Nepal is the highest peak in the world. Kanchenjunga, Nanda Devi and Kamet are other prominent Himalayan peaks of India. Kanchenjunga K2 is the highest peak in India. Mountaineering is not an easy activity. It involves training, protective gears, and a great risk of life. Some of the dangers of mountaineering are as follow.
As we climb up the mountains, the atmospheric pressure decreases and less oxygen is available. So, many mountaineers feel dizziness, nausea, and breathlessness. Mountaineers face a great risk of getting trapped and buried in deep ice and avalanches in the mountains. An avalanche is a large mass of snow that falls down the mountain with great speed. The weather is unpredictable on higher mountains. Many a times, visibility becomes poor and thunderstorms, lightning, or heavy snowfall make it very difficult to ascend or descend. It is necessary to undergo training before going on a mountain expedition. In India, the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling and the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering in Uttarkashi, Uttarakhand, provide training to aspiring mountaineers. Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary were the first mountaineers to climb Mount Everest on 29 May 1953. They hoisted the Nepalese flag and the Union Jack, the national flag of United Kingdom, respectively on reaching Mount Everest. Bachendri Pal was the first Indian woman and the fifth person in the world to climb Mount Everest. She loved adventure since her childhood. At the age of 12, she climbed 13,123 feet high peak with her friends. After her graduation, she joined the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering to train as a high-altitude mountaineer. In 1984, she was selected as a member of the 4th Indian expedition to Mount Everest. On 23 May 1984, she reached the world's highest peak, facing all odds. The Government of India honoured Bachendri Pal with the Padam Shri and the Arjuna Award. Chapter 20. Our Rich Heritage. Anything that we inherit from our ancestors, such as customs, traditions, art, literature, or monuments, is our heritage. Heritage is a part of the tradition that is passed down through the generations. Monuments built in our country are an integral part of India's rich cultural heritage. Ashoka Pillar. Emperor Ashoka ruled India more than 2,000 years ago. He is considered one of the greatest emperors of India. After witnessing horrors of the Kalinga War, he became a Buddhist and devoted himself to the spread of Buddhism. Ashoka became a believer of non-violence, love, truth, and tolerance when he adopted the Buddhist faith. Emperor Ashoka constructed hospitals for humans as well as animals and built major roads throughout India. We know about his work from the inscriptions he had ordered to be carved on pillars and rocks throughout North India. The Ashoka Pillar at Sarnath is the most popular monument made by Ashoka. This pillar records the visit of Emperor to Sarnath in around 3rd century BCE. On the pillar, there are the carvings of 4 loins, each facing the 4 cardinal directions. This carving is the national emblem of India. The Ashok Chakra depicted in the center of the Indian flag was adopted from the 24-spoked Dharma wheel, also carved on the Ashoka pillar. Qutub Minar. The Qutub Minar is the highest stone tower in the world. It is one of the most prominent landmarks and tourist places of Delhi. It is built of red sandstone and is 72.5 meters high. Its structure was started by the slave dynasty ruler Qutubuddin Aibak, but after his death, it was completed by his successor Iltutmish. It is said that the Qutub Minar had 7 stories originally, but now there are only 5 stories. The 5th had been built with white marble. Each story has a balcony. There is a narrow spiral staircase that whirls up to the top. The walls bear inscriptions of verses from the Holy Quran. Near the Qutub Minar compound, there is the iron pillar of Gupta Empire. It was remained rust-free for the last 2300 years, even in extreme climatic conditions of Delhi. Hawa Mahal. It is a beautiful palace situated in Jaipur, Rajasthan.
It is also known as the Palace of Winds because the building has small balconies that maintain a constant flow of cool breeze from their windows. It was built in pink and red sandstone by Maharaja Savai Pratap Singh II. In the past, the women of the royal family watched processions and parades passing through the streets from these balconies. Nowadays, the Hawa Mahal also houses a small museum. Golden Temple. The Golden Temple, also called Harminder Sahib, is at Amritsar in Punjab. It is the holiest Sikh shrine. It is surrounded by a holy sarovar in which the pilgrims bathe. The temple is built of white marble and its domes and walls are covered with gold. It is said that when Akbar was the emperor of India, he had great respect for all the religions. He gave a piece of land to Guru Ram Das, the fourth Sikh Guru, to build a temple. Its construction was initiated in 1581 by Guru Arjan Dev, the fifth Sikh Guru. In 1802, its dome and walls were covered in gold by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. The holy book of Sikhs, the Guru Granth Sahib, is kept here. Victoria Memorial. The Victoria Memorial, made of white marble, is situated in Kolkata. It was built by the British in memory of Queen Victoria. Various pictures related to the life of Queen Victoria have been displayed in its central hall. It is a marvelous example of amalgamation of Indian and European architecture. Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal in Agra is the most famous Indian monument situated on the bank of the Yamuna. It is one of the 7 wonders of the world. The Taj Mahal was built by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, who ruled India from 1628 to 1658. Taj Mahal means the pride of the palace. In the year 1631, Mumtaz Mahal, Shah Jahan's wife, died. The emperor decided to build the most beautiful tomb in sweet memory of his beloved wife. He summoned the best artisans and architects from India, Turkey, Persia and Arabia. It took more than 20,000 men working over a period of over 2 decades to construct the Taj Mahal. It is made of white marble, crafted with beautiful inlaid work of precious and semi-precious stones. Meenakshi Temple. The Meenakshi Temple is situated at Madurai in Tamil Nadu. It has 2 major shrines dedicated to Meenakshi, a form of Parvati, and Sundareshwara, Lord Shiva. In the temple, there is a hall which has 1,000 pillars. Each pillar has carvings of gods and goddesses. There are huge gateways called Gopurams in the temple complex. Char Minar. The Char Minar is situated at the center of the old city of Hyderabad. It was built by Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah in 1591. It is a massive square gateway. It has 4 beautifully carved minarets, each 48.7 meter high. The Char Minar was built to celebrate the eradication of plague epidemic from the city. Looking after the monuments. The Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, preserves heritage buildings and important monuments of India. Visitors to the historical sites have to buy entry ticket and the amount thus collected is used to restore and preserve them. Special techniques are used to ensure that the monuments do not lose their original work and glory. Polluting industries and constructions that may damage a monument are not allowed to be developed in their vicinity. The Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage was set up to create awareness and help preserve our heritage. It works in close association with schools to acquaint students with the history and culture associated with the historical buildings and monuments. Damaging monuments of national heritage is punishable by law. We should not litter on their premises. We should not scribble or write on the walls of these monuments. We should not deface statues or parts of these monuments.